My daughter, Sarah, was suffering from a chronic condition. She suffered a lot and missed out on a lot of things. As her only parent, her dad's deceased, I had to work hard to ensure she was happy and as much healthy as possible. She had only a best friend that she always called her sister. She was with her during middle school. We quickly became close, and Sarah's friend was constantly there, in the good and in the bad. She did Sarah's homework, cleaned her room for her, even cooked for us when we got from the hospital in the evening. I knew Sarah's friend was the sister she needed. They have a lot of pictures together. After Sarah's funeral, her best friend asked me to help her hang their pictures on the wall. It got to me because although it was hard, but it brought me joy. It felt like Sarah's friend was like a member of the family. Last month would have been Sarah's 18th birthday. No one showed up, although I got on the phone with my brother and we both cried. Sarah's friend made a cake and brought a photo album she made herself. It was simple, but it was wholesome. I just sold the car I was planning on gifting to Sarah on her 18th birthday, and I contacted Sarah's friend's parents and gave them the $8,000 as my contribution towards her education. They were thankful for it and very appreciative. Yesterday, my brother mentioned not seeing the car. I told him that I sold it and what I did with the money, and he started throwing a temper tantrum, saying I shouldn't have done it, and said that I'm not thinking rationally and acting out of emotions because he thought the car was going to my younger brother, who walks 30 minutes to university and work every day. He said I should have thought of my brother and that he was struggling. We got into an argument, and I couldn't do it anymore. My mother agreed that I shouldn't have done it and that my brother was right. I felt bad, and I couldn't talk to him after this argument. I think I should have let them know what I was planning to do before, but for them to lash out and consider the car their property is what caused me to lash out. You are not wrong. Looking at it from the most brutal angle I can come up with on short notice, you still by definition own the car. As such, you get to make the decisions on how to dispense with it. From a softer angle, Sarah and her friend were close, and you opted to honor that closeness. I get the younger brother situation isn't great, but your, I presume, older brother doesn't get to tell you how to do things. If you want a brutal angle, your surviving family is annoyed that they weren't able to profit from your daughter's death. Screw them. You are not the idiot. Did your brothers or your mother pay for any part of this car? Were they willing to buy it for your brother? If the answer is no, you are 100% not the idiot. It was 100% your decision what to do with the item you bought. Even if they helped buy it as a gift given can't be taken back. You are not wrong here. Sarah most likely would have wanted her friend to get the money because that friend was her family, seemingly more than her blood family, especially since none of them could even be bothered to come commemorate the day with you, and her friend did. Your brothers and mother are being selfish and entitled and only thinking about what they could get rather than what you need to help you heal. Sarah's friend sounds like an angel that even after her friend had passed, still came to your home on a day she had to know was very difficult for you. Me, female 26, and my husband, 33, Mike, have been married for a year now. He doesn't cook. He's bad at it. His cooking is the worst, despite learning from books, YouTube videos, me teaching him. It just never works. Every time he steps foot into the kitchen, it turns into a mess. I don't know how. He doesn't know how. Maybe because he's constantly busy with work, police officer, and is used to fast food. But he's good at other things, so we've agreed that I handle cooking. He handles chores. Everything was going well. However, recently he's been getting involved in my cooking, basically making comments about what ingredients I should not add, and I try to take it under consideration, but only if he's being reasonable. Lately, he's been waiting for when I prepare dinner or lunch, then sneaks in and adds extra salt, pepper, spices, other things that completely ruin the meal. First, it was a mystery to me, had me questioning myself, why I added too much salt or spices. He admitted he was the one adding extra ingredients and messing up my cooking. The meals are no longer eatable. I've told him to not try to get involved in something he doesn't have experience with. I've basically been eating out for a week now because of him. Last night we had my family visiting. I took the entire day preparing meals. He helped out by going to the grocery stores. I noticed he bought stuff from the grocery store that I wasn't allowed to see. I figured probably some snacks. As we were about to eat dinner, my mom and dad suddenly looked grossed out and said they couldn't eat because the food had so much salt in it. I was confused. I asked them to try another dish, which was too spicy for them to eat. My dad had an upset stomach and he almost threw up. He has high blood pressure and salt wasn't good for him. Mike kept acting confused. My mom and dad couldn't eat anything I made. I knew Mike had something to do with it. My parents left and I felt ashamed. I asked Mike, then I blew up. After he admitted, he went behind my back to add ingredients he thought were going to make my food better. I lashed out at him, told him he ruined my work after spending hours and made my parents feel uncomfortable, adding too much salt, knowing my dad has high blood pressure. He argued that he was just trying to help and thought that the food would be better, so I shouldn't yell at him. And my parents didn't say anything, so it wasn't that bad. I told him he shouldn't have done this, but he refused to acknowledge he did anything wrong, then went out to meet his friends for dinner. You are not the idiot. He's repeatedly and dependably ruining every meal he touches. If he wants more salt, he can add it to his portion at the table. There's no universe in which he's being helpful, and how he thinks he is a mystery. Not to be that person, but can he taste and smell okay lately? I'm going to guess that he's a control freak and feels threatened or emasculated by the fact that he has tried to cook and failed. So now he sabotages your cooking by adding his influence. You are not wrong, OP. You are not the idiot. Your husband waited until you had completed a meal, added a certain amount of types of spices that would ruin the meal you cooked, and then watched you twist in the wind. How long did it take for him to admit what he did? The man's 33 years old. He knew what he was doing. He made a decision to shake you up and then observe your reaction before coming clean. Your husband's response to potentially poisoning his father-in-law and you being upset over him ruining another of the meals you helped prepare was to leave the house and go out with his boys? After sabotaging your family dinner and humiliating you in front of your parents, your husband deflected the blame and left you alone. What's his end game, OP? If you're not asking yourself this right now, you need to. This dude is a psycho. He went out of his way to almost kill your dad, knowing exactly what he was doing from the beginning, and then proceeded to act like nothing was wrong, the whole dinner making OP look like a bad cook or incompetent in front of her family. OP needs to leave ASAP, because you're absolutely right. From the timeline in the post, it looks like he's only escalating, and it's going to get worse for her. I, 27 male, lost my wife to brain cancer less than a year ago. It was devastating. She was about to start her career as a doctor. My family just called and visited from time to time. They'd avoid me mostly. They've been busy trying to fix brother's issues with his wife. They've been having problems for months, and my mom and aunt were trying to get involved and fix the situation for the sake of kids. My brother ends up going to stay with mom every time he has an argument with his wife. They've 3 kids. I've heard brother and his wife are doing okay. Mom calls me to check in on me, mostly to brag about her efforts to fix the situation between my brother and his wife. This was my first Valentine's Day without my wife, and it hurts. I decided to spend the day at home, by myself, and look at some pictures and remember some of our great moments as a way to feel better. I got a call from my brother, telling me that he and his wife were on the way to drop off their kids so I could watch them while they go out to a restaurant. I politely said no. I needed some time for myself. This is my first Valentine's Day without my wife, so I expected they'd understand. He finished the call deliberately. Then, 18 minutes later, I heard knocking on the door. I saw my brother with his kids at my door. I was mad. I spoke to him behind the door and told him I won't open the door after he already ignored my answer. He complained that he's already here and didn't find anyone else, and that I was being unhelpful and mean to my nephews and niece. I reminded him that I wanted time for myself, and I'm not ready to babysit for them. His wife got out of the car, and they both started talking about how selfish I was, and that I'm refusing to help and trying to ruin their dinner because misery loves company. I argued with them, and after they kept pressuring me, I walked away from the door and went into the bedroom. They left. Then I received a call from Mom berating me for refusing to watch the kids, and that I might have just ruined what she and Aunt tried to fix. That brother needed support at this time, and I was being unsupportive and bitter. I lashed out and reminded her that I'm the one who needs support because my wife's no longer here. It hasn't even been a year, and this is how they're acting? I just hung up on her after she tried to blame me for not opening the door for them and said I was selfish and miserable. From what I understand, my brother was probably counting on me having the kids till the next day. Since Mom mentioned details, I assume it was her idea, but I ruined it for them. And no, this isn't the first time I babysat for them. But this time I really thought they'd leave me alone. My aunt had her son-in-law and daughter visiting, but I have no idea why my mom didn't take the kids. Probably thought that having the kids stay with me will keep me from feeling upset. You are not the idiot. First of all, I am so sorry about your wife. Cancer is a demon I wish we never had to meet. Second, you said no. No is a complete sentence. They counted on you saying yes and steamrolled you when things didn't go their way. That's horrible. Your family is wretched for this one. Exactly. And even if he hadn't just lost his wife, who just calls someone while they're already on their way over to tell them they're dropping their kids off with no advanced discussion? They didn't even ask OP if he was okay with it. They just showed up on his doorstep and tried to force it on him against his will? What? This would be rude even by normal standards. The fact it's Valentine's Day and he's grieving such an immense loss only makes it 10 times ruder and completely heartless. OP is not the selfish one in this situation. His family sucks for giving all their energy and support to brother's marital problems and expecting OP's world to revolve around them too. OP, you are not wrong. You are not the idiot. If you refusing to babysit one night ruins things, I really doubt things were on their way to being fixed. They are trying to put the responsibility of your brother's relationship on you, and that's not fair at all. And if your mom is close enough for your brother to stay with, she could have watched the kids if she was so invested in this date. I, female 21, I've had a pretty awful childhood. My dad was a junkie when I was born, and when I was little, just picked up and left my mom and me. My older half-sister, different dads, was not a pleasant person to be around, and my mom was so busy working, I felt like I was really alone. When my mom died in 2011, my grandma took me in and things got a lot better. Don't get me wrong, I miss my mom every day, but my grandma provided a much healthier environment for me. My dad contacted my grandma in 2018 because he wanted to get in touch with me, but I shut that down. I wouldn't even see him, wouldn't talk to him or anything. Well, it turns out that he had turned his life around, gotten married, and had a whole new family, but never had any other kids. He wanted to get to know me because he found out he had stage 5 pancreatic cancer, but I didn't want anything to do with him. I never contacted him back. Long story short, he died 6 months ago. I only found out recently because my stepmother contacted me about inheritance. My dad had left everything to me. It's not a life-changing amount, but he made me beneficiary of his life insurance, $100,000, left me his savings, $35,000, and his house, which in this market I could sell for around $400,000. I mean, with this money, I could have college paid for, buy a house and some investment properties, and still have a nice nest egg to fall back on in case of hard times. She gave me the contact information for the lawyer handling his estate. The problem is that his wife had never planned on working again. She had quit her job when she moved in with my dad and hasn't worked in 6 years. She was telling me that it would be wrong to keep all of the money, especially since I never made up with him, and that I needed to split it 4 ways so that she and my siblings could have an equal share. I told her she could pound sand because he abandoned me for years and she got all the best parts of my dad. And all I got was the inheritance, and I hung up. I contacted the lawyer, and everything is cut and dry. He left his wife and stepkids $100 each and left everything else to me. But I'm starting to feel bad for his wife. Would I be the idiot if I didn't split the money? I mean, my dad never did anything for me. So this last grand gesture is really all I'll have. Edit. They're living in the house and she's not on the title. I'm planning on hiring a property management company and writing up an official lease. I don't want to make them homeless, and I'm not planning on selling the house right away. But I don't want to make any mistakes and lose the house by having her live in it, thus the property management company. I'm going to talk to my grandma on my dad's side and see if I can figure out why my dad left his other family out of the will. 100% you are not the idiot. Your dad made the decision to leave absolutely everything to you. So he clearly felt you deserved it, needed it, and they didn't. Feels to me like he was thinking along the same lines as you, realizing he shortchanged you on a relationship, so all he could do was leave you an inheritance. Keep the money, it's what your dad wanted. You are not wrong. Do not, for the love of yourself, give away your inheritance. It is yours and yours alone. If you start seeing any random person's plight as an obligation for you, it will never ever stop. And the first time you really need a larger lump sum of money, say for medical bills, you will so very, very deeply regret giving them away to someone you probably never heard from afterwards. Take that money, have a great start in life, become an educated and secure person, and add joy to the world by being happy. I guarantee if he actually splits his inheritance, they will blow through it, and it may be a year or 5 years, but she'll be calling OP back, using the generosity, asking for more money because his father owed her for sacrificing her career or some other nonsense. Update. Okay, wow. I just got off the phone with my grandma. I messaged her on Facebook and she gave me her number. I called her during my break. Apparently, my grandma hates my stepmom. I mean, I don't even know where to start. So I guess my dad wanted to reach out to me a lot sooner than he did, but his wife kept on convincing him not to because she was saying if he got in touch with anyone from his junkie days, he would relapse. On top of that, they never actually got married. They had a ceremony 6 years ago, but they didn't sign any marriage licenses because they thought my mom was still alive and that he was married to my mom. She didn't want him to reach out for a divorce because, again, he might have relapsed. And the nail in the coffin, she was almost certainly cheating on him. I don't want to get into all the drama about the whole thing, but the only reason he didn't throw her out is because she got rid of the proof and he didn't have any way to confirm it was more than intimate messages. For years. Basically, it was a dysfunctional marriage, and by the end of everything, he didn't have the energy to deal with her, so he just let her be. Personally, what I think is that she never wanted me to be part of their perfect family. If he had reached out to my mom for a divorce, then he'd probably want to reach out to me too. Yes, I can't believe I'm typing this, but my daughters and I raise chickens. All kinds of chickens that lay different color eggs. We have white eggs, brown, blue, light green, olive, specked, and a purplish pink. My daughter went to her dad's house and told her brother about our pretty eggs. He called her a liar and that chickens only lay white or brown, not blue or any other color. When she was getting ready to go, I gave her a dozen of every color, and we have told her to show her brother that he might find the colors interesting, and it's a good learning experience. She took the eggs, then I got a call from my very angry ex, who said I was poisoning our daughter by feeding her these demon eggs, and that it was sick I was feeding his child green eggs because they were obviously spoiled. I nearly laughed my head off at this because I told him to crack them up and I could hear his son gagging in the background. Says I'm an idiot for trying to give our kids bad food and trying to get our daughter to make his son look like an idiot, and that I was making fun of a child. I simply told him I wanted him to see the colors so he could learn from them and that some chickens lay different colors of eggs. He ended the conversation saying I was a terrible parent and making our daughter an idiot too. Was I the idiot here? Demon eggs? Getting our daughter to make his son look bad? Great combo of dogmatic and prideful that in some people's minds justify their awful behavior. Be careful, OP. You are not the idiot. Does your ex also think that chocolate milk comes from black cows? You are not wrong. Tell him to use a powerful tool called the internet and educate himself. Demon eggs? What an idiot! You are not the idiot. Sort of. Maybe try not poking fun at someone's ignorance of the uncommon and unfamiliar, and try having a conversation with your ex when you found out his son called your daughter a liar. Instead, you kind of took pleasure in proving a child wrong, and consequently your ex as well. You are not the idiot here. I don't even understand the problem. Like, eggs are different colors. That's just how it works, LOL. Sure, store-bought ones are specifically meant to be white and brown, but naturally eggs come in a variety of colors. Tell him to do a quick Google search and he'll find that out. Can't even believe that's something he was upset about. I'd be more concerned about X's accusation that OP was intentionally trying to get her daughter to make her brother look like an idiot, as if X isn't doing that all by himself.